everybody, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. My name is Irene Duford, and I'm your host today. And we have an amazing guest today. His name is Hamilton Lao, and I have the honor and the privilege of coaching him and his wife, Jing Ren. It's Jing's team. She's been doing loans for quite a while, but Hamilton recently came on. So I want to go through your story with you, Hamilton. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Irene. As mentioned before, it's an absolute honor to be invited to even come on the show. I have nothing but profound and deep respect for you, and for you to see something that I'm doing that's worthy of being promoted, to be shared to the loan officer community. It's just an absolute honor. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be on. So, you and I have worked together for a while, but what I remember when Jing and I were working together, and I hadn't met you yet. You were a teacher, right? You were a teacher, and Jing kept talking about this awesome husband that she had that would be so good at making the phone calls and marketing and building relationships and all this stuff. And we came up with a plan to make that happen. And then tell us what month and year you ended up. And first, tell us what you did for a living.
I transitioned over into mortgages, I believe, early July of 2022, last year to be exact. And I was teaching full-time as a special education teacher with the Department of Education in New York City, public school. And the standard, public school teacher, I taught about 120 kids. I taught the special education component. So I didn't necessarily play a supportive role. I played a co-teacher role. So it was kind of like two teachers teaching an integrated class where 1/3 of class has special needs.
Okay. What a great experience that must have been. How long did you do that?
About just past the 10-year mark.
Wow. So that really gave you a lot of skills to be able to do what you're doing. You learn patience, you learn tolerance, tell me the things that you learned as a teacher.
I think the biggest skill I probably take away that I can transition to the mortgage side is sales. I think I learned probably I honed my sales skills, I think, from teaching, because I taught special education, math and science. So
oh boy.
Nothing. The students that I had wasn't, extreme. They just had mild, special needs. And however, it takes a lot of creativity and a lot of selling to capture their attention if I'm trying to teach the Pythagorean theorem or the quadratic formula, So it made me think of all different ways to kind of connect with them.
Oh man, what an experience though, to go from being a teacher to basically a sales rep, right? That's what you do. Yeah. But you're a relationship builder too, which I think you're amazing at. I've seen it. I've watched you build relationship with me, in our coaching. And also I've seen you with other people at our events that we do. And it's been amazing to watch how you and Jing have connected with the rest of the people that I coach when we have our dinners and stuff and we get together. I just think it's been amazing to watch. So I knew you were going to be good just because I trust what she was saying to me. But then when I saw what you've done and I've been able to witness it, I've been amazed. So let's talk about what you do now in the business. So first, tell us how you kind of transitioned. What did you do when you first came on? And then how has it progressed from there?
Yeah, so when I first came on, the task was always to build connections with real estate agents. And so what I currently do, I'm the business development rep for Jing's mortgage team. So my task, it is dynamic and it ebbs and flows, but primarily I think it falls into two things. One, it would be building relationships, not necessarily just with real estate agents, but just with business leaders or leaders in general, just building relationships. And the second part I would say would be selling our team, selling our loan products to real estate agents. So those are kind of the two things that we kind of do. So when we transitioned over, the goal was to have me be put in that position of reaching out to agents, cold calling essentially real estate agents, figuring out the script and trying to figure out coffee meetings, how to get this coffee meeting, because everything has for the most part has been sort of figured out, but you got to kind of implement it into your own style and what
Yes.
we're capable of providing. And it has been an interesting experience to say the least on getting from last year to now. But now it's just like I'm very, very comfortable with building relationships and reaching out to agents. So it's fun. It's been fun.
It is. It's been fun to watch your journey and to see how, when you first start out, you knew how to do sales. Obviously, you did, or she wouldn't have put you in that position and you wouldn't be where you are. And you wouldn't have left a teaching job to come and do this if you didn't already have the skills and know that she knew you could do it and you knew you could do it. But it's still been fun to watch your progress. It's been fun to watch you go from, okay, how do I, do I do this way or do I do it that way? And then figuring it out and then making it happen, which has been really fun. At the beginning, you did a lot of community events, right? Because that was close to your heart.
Yes.
So tell us about how you started with that and where it took you and kind of how you feel about it now.
Yeah, I remember the first month, maybe a month or two. It was very difficult because I'm coming from a place that's not mortgage related, and just trying to figure out, kind of put into this fire in a way where I have to try to figure out how to connect with real estate agents, schedule some kind of a meeting with them, and then convince them to start sending us leads. It was extremely, extremely difficult. And I think, a type of guy where I want to see results right away. So as I've been doing, as I did this for about a month and we weren't getting any leads, I'm starting to panic a little bit. I'm like, oh boy, I got to do something to change it up or to, try different options just to potentially get leads. And one of our initiatives, and again, God bless Jing for being so supportive, was figure out how we can connect things that I'm passionate about with the business development role and how we can potentially get leads from that. And we coming up with community outreach projects or community service projects specifically centered around a real estate agent's interests. And then from there, create some kind of either it's a social awareness campaign or some kind of outreach project just to get the community buzzing. And then in turn, we would brand that event as a produced by your local agent, so-and-so, and Jing's mortgage team. So it took me a little while to figure that out. And, I moved forward, with a few initiatives, but it was definitely a learning experience for everybody's perspective, because doing research, I know it's been done, but not in the mortgage side. And it's really it was a big question mark whether it was going to be successful or not. It was definitely successful in the sense of building relationships and building connections, but then we didn't felt like it was sustainable in the long run, because I would put in a lot of resources and time into one specific event, and it's great. We built really close bonds with that one realtor, but then it's like, I want to try to reach out to as many realtors and build as many connections as quickly as possible. So that was definitely one of the initiatives that we tried, didn't really work out the way we wanted it to, but it gave me time to additionally on the side to hone, how to deal with the rebuttals, because I had so many different rebuttals that was coming at me while I was cold calling. I was still cold calling at the time, but it was definitely a portion of my day planning these community outreach events.
Yeah, they were time consuming and not scalable, right?
Right.
That's what it was, is you needed to be able to reach more people. But it was a great thing that you did, and you got to know a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember it making you feel good that you did it as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about is having something that you enjoy, something you're good at, and something that makes you money. So if it doesn't have all three of those qualities, you could be great at something, you could really enjoy it, but if it doesn't make you money, it's not something you can do during business hours, let's say, right? Or it could make you money and you could be really good at it, but if you don't like it, that's not going to work either. So I'm glad that you figured that out. Tell us about these phone calls that you make. So many people don't want to make the phone calls. They don't want to hear no. So tell us how you feel about those phone calls after doing it for a while here.
For me, I think it was in my personality that I feel like maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe I like getting that last word, But so like when an agent gives me a rebuttal that I can't, I don't have the last word, it kind of bothers me. It reminds me of this quote from the movie The Boiler Room, where it's like you're either selling a product or you got sold why they don't want the product. And I think I felt a lot of that. That man, I failed at selling, especially when I'm calling agents, I'm talking to salesmen. So it was like a little bit of a challenge for me because I want to close them and sell my product, not have them sell me why they shouldn't have my product. And it bothered me a lot. And I think there was a lot of trial and error, but like I think that maybe it bothering me was what kept me so energized into getting back into it. Because ultimately, it's just a person over the phone. I'm not even seeing the person in their face, and there's no, death threats or it's not a life and death situation, So it was, I didn't feel like there was a lot to lose. Maybe my ego, because it's like, oh man, I need to get that last word. I need to close on this sale. But aside from that, I mean, there was nothing for me to lose that was high stakes. And so there was no reason for me to not jump back on and continue trying.
Yes. And I love the way you just went after it. You went after it and went after it. And man, you've gotten some great results. I'm going to read some stats here. I'm going to tell what the stats are. First of all, I want to talk about your Secret Sauce podcast. Let's talk about how that got started and how you wanted to do that and what you've done with it. And then we'll get into some stats.
Yeah, first off, I want to say thank you so much, Irene, for all the coaching that you've given me, to Jing's team, to Jing, because really, like, I don't feel like we would be half as successful if it wasn't for your tutelage. And one of the suggestions that you had, and you're always giving such great advice for us, and you're really put the ground with us, and assessing our team and where we are. So it's like during one of our training calls, I think this was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, you had suggested, hey, why don't Hamilton just go and try podcasting? And initially I was a little, reserved about it. I didn't know if I wanted to do it, but after thinking about it, and it became pretty clear that I should do it. And I think when I think of podcasting, I'm thinking about Joe Rogan with their millions and millions of listeners. And it almost felt pretentious, like, hey, who am I to be making this podcast? Who's going to want to listen? But then ultimately, for me, when I looked at the goal of the podcast to be promoting the agent, who the agent is, what the agent is potentially capable of doing, it became a little more clear that the podcast is a great outlet to build relationships, which is, again, part of my job title. And my specific podcast, I don't just have real estate agents on, I have business leaders, I have interesting people, variety podcasts. I have interesting people. I have leaders of different places, interesting places come on, just to talk a little bit about what secret sauce, what the secret sauce is that makes their business, their experience, what makes it successful.
Yes.
Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
It did. No, it's great. And you've had all kinds of people on, but real estate agents as well. And you're giving them a platform to talk about how they can help people and what has made them so successful. So I am a huge student of success. I love to hear people talk about their success stories. And so this is a perfect fit because then you're giving them a place where they can tell where they were, where they are now, and how they got there. And they're sharing with the world their success story. And I think it's awesome. And I've listened to a few of them. I think they're great. You have had some really good guests on there. Yeah, the pilot that you had on there, the one, I loved that one. So if you guys haven't subscribed to his podcast yet, it's Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lao. And he's had some really great people on there. But what did the podcast do as far as results, getting your foot in the door with agents and that type of thing?
Yeah, I wanted to add really quick that I think the real estate industry and sales in general, I think gets a really bad name. And I'm sure we've all had that experience with, in my opinion, I would even come out and call them bad salesmen, where, the goal is just to close whether you need the product or not. And sometimes the potentially nefarious ways of getting to the close just to get the close.
Yes.
And I am extremely against that philosophy and that means of selling. And I'm all about building relationships. And coming back to this podcast, if I can have this as an outlet to show that, hey, listen, not all real estate salesmen or broker, or not all of them are out to get people for the close. I'm
That's
sure there
true.
are. I'm sure there are those out there that are shady, but not everybody is out there to, just for their own gain. I think the and I want to mention, Mr. Schmooze, the book Mr. Schmooze by, I believe, Richard Abraham. He has the
Yes.
best, it's the most incredible sales book that's like out there ever, because
Yes.
it really, I think, resonated with me what sales is, what sales means. And it's not just, from getting a person to buy a product. It's not about that. It's about building relationships and building connections. If they happen to need the product, perfect. If they don't need the product, no big deal. At least I made a friend. And that's kind of how my perspective is in the business development role. Now with the podcast, I've had a great success in terms of connecting with agents that maybe we haven't heard from for a while, and my follow-ups with them, they haven't really responded with any leads. And it's great to have them on the podcast to promote them and to kind of put their face to their business. It encouraged them to say, hey, wow, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you doing this for me, Hamilton. By the way, here are some, here's a potential lead, that we're working on right now. Not only I think that was it a great follow-up, just doing that podcast, but it was a great encourager because I am in front of their face right now. It was a different opportunity for me to frog. By the way, for those who don't know what frog is a way of interviewing a person so that you can build that deep relationship so they can potentially, give you a deal, right? Frog family, recreation, occupation, goal. So when I am podcasting with them, it's just another opportunity for me to use frogging with our clients. And it's great. After I completed the podcast, we start seeing leads that we wouldn't have normally seen. So it's in that sense, it's been great as a return. Way better than the community service projects that I did, that's for sure.
I love it. And I love it because you're building the relationship, and that relationship will go further with leads. But that isn't why you do it. You do it because you want to build a relationship and you want to put them in a place where they can help people, because that's what this business is all about. You and I, the reason we connect so well, you and I and Jing, is because we have the same philosophy. It's not about closing people. It's not about selling people. It's about offering something that people need in a way that they need it. It's building that relationship. And sometimes, like you said, sometimes they'll give you a lead and sometimes they won't. But either way, you've made a friend and you've built a relationship. And they may refer you to somebody else because of that, but they trust you. Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
It's very important to me that I am able to sleep at night or look at myself in the mirror, especially transitioning from a job that I was very, very proud of, being able to I guess, potentially change the world, 100 students at a time per year,
Definitely.
So it was very important for me. If I'm going to transition to another profession, that I'm still going to have that same sense of fulfillment. And,
yes,
fortunately, I'm very lucky. Fortunately, I think I found it, and I think, I'm still continuing to grow in this position, and I'm very excited to see, where this goes.
Yeah. The thing about sales is people think that sales is all about just selling. It's about, yeah, we just want the result. We just want to close. But sales, when you really get down to what sales really is you have a service that you're offering somebody that they need. And so you're helping them to have a great experience. When they come to you and your team, you're actually helping them to have an amazing experience. And that's what we teach in the WOW training. It's teaching the loan partners and the other people, business development reps, and all of the support staff, that when they ask for referrals, they're actually helping people, because there are story after story about loan officers out there that didn't treat them the way they should, that did make them feel bad because they couldn't qualify, all of those things. And they don't have to worry about that when they come to your team, because you're selling them for the right reason. It's because you're going to give them amazing wow service. That's why we're on the same page.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, this idea of cold calling and, oh man, might get rejected. But, just to follow up what you're saying, an agent would never know that you are providing this specific service, this great, amazing service, if it wasn't for reaching out. And I think for me,
Yes.
yeah, I think for me, I've always felt that, I never like to feel victimized, that, life is kind of faded and I'm kind of stuck where I am. I always like to feel like there's a way you can take control of your life. And in this case, by reaching out to agents, it's my way of taking control of my destiny, because each call that you make is you're getting in front of a person who may not have ever heard of you before, and they may need your service. I have so many, experiences where I called an agent that just had a huge fallout with their lender because their lender just wasn't producing the results that they wanted, and we were just at the right place at the right time, and you never know until you call.
Yes.
And to me, it's just nothing more euphoric than that.
So
Now,
true.
yeah, not only are we connecting with great people, great agents, we're providing an amazing service. And I get a lot of rejections, don't get me wrong, but those successes far outweigh the euphoric of the successes far outweigh the rejection, the quote unquote rejections.
Yes. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. So you and Jing together have been an amazing team. And you started coaching with me in April of 22, or at least Jing did. And then you guys coach together now. And so you left your teaching position in 2022. And I like to call you an agent calling machine. I always call you that, but it's not really a machine. I say machine because of the way you do it, with a systematic process, and that you are committed to doing it no matter what. That's why I'll call you a machine. You're not a machine in the way you treat people. You're a machine in the fact that you're committed to it. And no matter what, you're going to make those calls and you're going to take whatever they say, yes or no, you're going to take it. As a mortgage advisor, you know that having a high-performing loan team is critical to building a successful business. But training them can be time-consuming, and it can detract from more important tasks like generating leads and growing your business. But that's where we come in. We created Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp, a self-paced online course available immediately to train your team, including newer loan officers, on how to actually do mortgage loans. Our course takes them step by step through the process, from taking a complete loan application to creating effective communication with clients, referral partners, and team members. When they complete the class, they will have the training to be an asset to you and your mortgage business. Visit loanteamtraining.com and navigate to the Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp tab to review our course details and enroll. With our training, you can confidently delegate and devote your time to growing your business even more. You started your podcast, and what I love about what you've done is that you took your first vacation with Jing, having no cell phone, no laptop on her, with her, for your Disney cruise. And if I remember right, it was in October of 22, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and you sent
For
me a
Halloween
picture
specifically.
for Halloween. Yeah, so
Yeah.
tell us about that. What did that feel like?
It was unbelievable. I think our culture heard so much without proper definition, and I guess everybody has their own definition of unbelievable. But for me, it was just, while I was teaching for many years before I transitioned to mortgages, it was like Jing was always my lender. My wife Jing was always, her head was in the loan, her head was in the file, and it was very, she was accessible but then not accessible at the same time, if that makes sense. She would be here but then she's not presence, and we got that a lot, and that was one of my major concerns. When we had our daughter, it's like, I'm gonna be present and I'm gonna be the best father for my child, 100% best parent that I can be for my child. But then it's like, oh man, you're always in the file, Jing. It's like, when are you going to find time to spend, with your child? And it was just incredible and unbelievable that as time progressed after I transitioned over, we, things started getting, lighter and lighter. We were making some hirings as well that was definitely helping Jing in the back office, and of course your guidance too. It helped us position ourselves in a way where we can actually take this 1 week to go on a Disney cruise, and it was just unbelievable the memory that we created. Me, Jing, and Maxine, our daughter Maxine, it just unbelievable. All the videos and pictures we took, and it's like, this is priceless. It's
Yeah.
just unbelievable in that sense. It's just priceless. I never thought that we would get to a place where Jing could be 1 week without any phone, any technology, no head in the file. In that sense, it's unbelievable.
That's so great. That's so great. And it took a lot of work on Jing's part to progress to that point, because almost every loan officer that we meet, almost everyone that I've ever met, that I've ever coached, has started out that way, that they can't get their head out of the file. They don't have enough help. So we take them step by step to get help, to get the right help, not just help, but the right help, and teach them the right way and get them trained. And that's part of what we do in loan team training, is by training the staff to do that. And so I'm so proud of Jing for doing that. She has worked really hard. It's not easy when you have spent your whole career being the one that everybody comes to. It's your baby. Like, you created this baby from infancy, from the time it was born, basically. I'm talking about the business. And so it's really hard to let go, but Jing has learned how to do that. And of course, it's step by step, and everyone goes at their own pace. But when you sent me that picture, when I knew you were going and you sent me the picture, and I saw that it was successful, that she really unplugged, and you guys had this time of your life, and the look on Jing's face was amazing, and the look on your face, and it just made me so grateful. So I wanted you to share that, because this is a very common situation in the mortgage business. And in the Freedom Club, we are all about freedom. Right now, we're in a time where we may have to work a little bit more than normal. We're in a season right now. Right now, it's July of 2023, and we are in a season right now. We've been in a season for a while that's been difficult after a really great few years, right? The thing is that's what we're about, is having freedom. And the one thing I want our listeners to remember today is that we don't get that time back with our family. No matter if they're an infant, no matter if they're 10, 15, no matter what, we can't replace that time once we lose it. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Of course, we can change, and we can start to do that. And then our kids won't even remember that we weren't there, but we can either beat ourselves up, or we can say, you know what, I'm going to make a change, and we're going to start it today. And so I'm so proud of you guys for doing that, and proud of you for being patient, because it does take a lot of patience when you're the spouse. I can speak on that because my husband, he was a teacher. He was a teacher while I was a mortgage person, and I was that way too. And so I missed out on a lot. And, that's why Carl and I are so passionate about this one aspect of coaching, is to teach people how to do it without them being the one to do it. And I can tell you, I missed out on a lot while my husband was there. Every Christmas he had off, every Easter vacation, every summer, all of that, because he was a teacher. And when I was originating, I missed out on a lot of that with my older kids, and with all three of my kids. But you can't go back. All you can do is go forward and be different moving forward. So hopefully that's a good message that people will hear today, is that you can't go back. It doesn't do any good to beat yourself up. When I asked my kids about it when they were older, especially my oldest son, I asked him, he said, Mom, I knew you were working. It didn't even faze me. I see what results have happened since then, and I'm glad you did it. It was like a relief for me. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. But I changed. That's the thing, is that you can change. So I want to get that message out. I know I'm beating it into the ground, but I want to get that message out to people, that it's never too late. That's one of my affirmations that I say all the time. It's never too late. Never. So just keep moving forward. That's all you can do. But back to your results. Jing has taken some weekends off since then, hasn't she?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, just follow up what you just said. I have again so much profound respect for you, and I think that we can connect because you're so empathetic and you get it, and you're such a great person, and it's just
Aw.
you know your wow training just again it's a game changer. So it's like again we would not be here or even like close to being here at all without your tutelage, without the freedom club. So it's like thank you
Aw.
infinitely. Just
Thank you.
um,
Oh,
so for our listeners, like if you haven't checked out Irene's wow training, do it, because especially if you're struggling, because it's like a science. It's almost like it's interesting. It's like it's almost a science. You guys have got it down, like what needs to be done to free up your time. How to hire and who to hire and how to schedule your day. And you guys have all the scripts. It's just if
oh.
you're a lender, you have to do this. You have to sign up with Irene
Well,
for her
thank
wow.
you. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I really appreciate it. But this year, you guys became brokers, right?
Yes.
And you love it. So tell us how you feel about being a broker. You and Jing together have been so excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's great because just it opens up from the prospecting side, from the sales
Hmm.
side. I just have more things to sell, more things to say when I only have like 30 seconds to a minute sometimes to try and continue the conversation. And it's just more things. I find that there's more things for me to continue the conversation on. And really like when it comes to getting those coffee meetings, getting those meetings with the agents, you know, content to continue the fire is what I need. And it's just been since the transition, I just feel like it's just been so easy. It's easier. I don't want to say so easy, but like it's easier for me to close on these coffee meetings. And I know Jing's been enjoying at least the back office side. I don't really touch the back office, but I know she's been enjoying. I don't want to touch the back office side. Let her do her thing.
Stay in your
I'm
lane, right?
yes, yes, that's right. That's right. I think I remember a funny story, a tangent story, where it's like when I first started, it's like, hey, maybe I can help out in the back office. Jing is like, are you sure? I don't know. And then I think like I try to overhear a conversation. I'm like, nope, I am gonna go back to cold calling.
Too
uh,
much detail in the back end.
I know, yeah, yeah, I don't want.
Oh, that's funny. But you guys have gone from 2.76 million in January this year to 7.1 million in June. That's a 260% increase in closings. That's not even including the pipeline, the amount of agents that you have now that you didn't have then. And that's not including all the leads that have come in, which are skyrocketing. So I think it's amazing what you guys have done. And you've done it because you've worked as a team, because you've done the things that are needed. Jing has done her part. You've done your part. And Jing has gone out and met with agents with you and has gotten involved in that as well. But it's been amazing to watch a 260% increase. How many people see that in a few months of closings? I've seen it over and over again, like in pipeline and things like that, but you don't always see it in closings right away like that in this type of market. But you did the daily success plan and it's working. And you've hired the right people. Jing has hired the right people. You have a great team and she manages that team so well. And so it's one big happy team that works. And your clients love working with you guys and your agents, I'm sure, because you do deliver wow service. It's been absolutely amazing. So I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are just like star students, star people, just great salt of the earth people. And it's an honor to be on this journey with you and to have had you invest in your team by sending them to our training. We just really appreciate that. So now I have a little bit different area that I'm going to ask you about. And that's something that I know you're really good at, and that's having the right mindset. So, I'm never going to get off anything without talking about mindset. It's the key to setting and reaching our goals. And so, what's one thing you do that helps your mindset, Hamilton?
For me, I don't like to think about success as a tangible, real item that can be achieved or attained. Like even now, when you tell me my numbers, it just goes over my head because it's like, I just feel like there's so much more to be done, and it's just I don't see it as like, hey, or it's time for me to rest now. I've arrived. I've made it. I mean, I
Right.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. I don't
Right.
know. I just maybe my personality too. I'm not one to take praise so liberally. Like I just I don't know. Maybe just my personality. But like that success is like a constant journey. I just to me it's like I don't see I know what I'm doing are the right things, and I want to just double down on doing the right things and constantly doing the right things because when I stop doing the right things, what am I gonna make? Nothing. So it's
Yes.
like I just want to continue doing that, and I guess it's very romantic to see the numbers as an outsider, and it's like, wow, those are great numbers. But to me, it's like, in the actual trenches, it's like I don't,
You don't let
it
that
doesn't.
stop you or slow you down. Yeah. Or
Yeah, for some
rest.
reason, for me, maybe it's because I'm in the trenches. I don't really comprehend that. I just want to keep going, and to me, I think that's just how I am. What's the mindset that I'm constantly in? I just keep going. I just keep going. I don't want to stop and look at things. And I think for me, when I stop to think about this is the success, this is the championship belt. Now I think I start thinking about other things that aren't relevant to
Right.
what I'm doing right. And all the things that are superficial or maybe things that I shouldn't think about, and then that's just going to monopolize my brain, and I can't be as efficient as I want. So for me,
Yes.
my mindset, I just need to keep going. I don't really want to stop. I don't really want to look around and smell the roses. I just have to keep going. And it's a constant conversation, constant assessment, self-assessment with Jing on the team. And it's like, okay, where do we want to go next? Let's just keep going.
Yes.
Keep going. And then maybe one
Yes.
day, I don't know, when we hit our final goal, maybe then it's like, okay, we've made it. I don't know if we'll ever have a final goal.
I
We'll
don't
see.
think you will ever have a final goal, because that's what I was going to say about you guys is that's what's awesome about having milestone goals. This is
Right.
we're just at the beginning of this. Like, this is
Yeah.
just your beginning. This isn't where you guys even want to end up at all. You're going to
Right.
be way up here later. But what I love about it, what I love about setting goals is that you can set a goal, and it's like, I like to call it a milestone, because it's not the end result. It's a milestone. So you've hit a milestone right now, and now you're going to go for your next one, and then your next one, and then your next one. And it's just going to keep growing. And this is just the beginning. So I love that you express that, because that's how a lot of people feel. And you know what? For some people, they may hit a certain goal and say, hey, I'm good with that. And some others may not. And that's okay, because you get to choose what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Every loan officer gets to choose the way they want their life to be. And how you want your life to be is how I want your life to be, because that's what you want. So I love that you don't ever want to rest, and just accept that that's what you've done. You just keep going and going and going, which is awesome. I love your enthusiasm, the way that you guys both have your plans and meet. And you know what I love about working with the two of you? You are always saying great things about Jing to me. Like, you'll send me a text message, Jing did that, or whatever it is. And she always does the same thing with you. So I'm always getting text messages. Guess what Hamilton did? Guess how many people he spoke to? Guess how many appointments he got? Whatever it is. And you guys do that for each other. And to me, that's a great team. Does that mean that when you work, because working with your spouse is not always easy. It's not always easy because you're both gone at the same time. You have, children that you're raising, or a child that you're raising. There's a lot of things that happen. My husband and I work together as well. But there are so many good things that you guys do that a lot of couples don't do. So I just have to bring that to your attention, even though we're on a podcast with all these people listening, that you guys have something very, very special in your relationship that I can see. And that's why I know you're going to be successful, because you both have the same mindset for growth. And that's why I asked about what is your mindset? Like, what do you do to stay positive when you get rejected? How do you look at that? Because a lot of it's perception.
Well, that's a great question. I feel like in order for something to be a rejection, the person that you're speaking with have to receive everything that they've heard from you, and giving you a rebuttal which you can't respond to, and then hang up. There's a part ways here.
Mhm.
And to me, I think that is the definition of rejection. And to me, if you see it like that, you don't really get rejected that much. It's like, hang up, okay, well, you didn't really hear what I had to tell you, or while I'm in the middle of a sentence, they hang up on me. Well,
Mhm.
you didn't even get to know me or my team. So how is this even close to rejection? Maybe somebody passed away in their family. Maybe they're on the toilet. Who knows,
That's
right?
true.
There's 101 reasons why I get hangups from agents. So I don't really see hangups as a rejection. That's the first thing. And then
I
the second
love
thing,
that. Let's say
yeah,
that again. Can you
yeah,
repeat that? Because I want to make sure people didn't miss that.
yeah. I don't see hangups as a rejection, because
I
for
love that.
rejection to be defined properly as rejection, the person had to have heard the services you offered, heard who you are, given you a legitimate rebuttal, and kind of, I guess, in a way, sold why they don't need your product. And then there's a hang up. And then that, to me, that's the rejection. And I think
Mhm.
that part was what maybe bothered me so much, because it's like, oh, I didn't get the last word, it's like, and I got rejected. But I think, with that mentality, I don't feel like I get ever really rejected. I mean, I get a lot of
Great.
hangups, but it doesn't mean that I got rejected. And when
Yes.
I think, the scripting is important too, and just constantly coming back to that, that that drawing board, and just identifying, hey, what worked here, what didn't work here. Now, back to that growth mindset that I was telling you about, that maybe, that I haven't arrived. My script isn't perfect. You're just constantly
Right.
reassessing how you can get better. So with that mentality, it's like, when an agent isn't the conversation isn't going the way I want it to, is like just asking myself, why? And then now it's like there isn't really that many rebuttals that causes us to part ways, where I just say, I that's a great rebuttal. I don't know what to say. I've said that once or twice, recently, like maybe a month or two ago, where it's like, oh wow, I've never heard that rebuttal before. Remember exactly what it was, because like I've since found a response for that. But like I
Mhm.
think that kind of it's euphoric. It drives me to constantly call.
Yes.
It's like I want to get better. I want to get this final word. I don't know. Maybe it's like it's a masochistic thing. I don't know what it is. It's
No,
like
it's
putting
not.
myself in there. I don't know what it is, but
No,
I
you just
deeply
want to get
enjoy it.
better.
Yeah, and I deeply enjoy it, where it's like I know, that rebuttal that you gave me, I'm gonna find an answer to. And then when an agent gives me that same rebuttal again, and I'm able to give my own rebuttal, and I close on the coffee meet, it's like the greatest feeling in the world. I usually run into Jing's office. We have separate offices. I usually run into Jing's office and be like, hey, I just got this closing. And it's like, it's amazing. It feels great, because, before last agent, they rejected me, but I'm able to overcome that. So it's like, to me, I guess just redefining what rejection means really helped
Yes.
me,
Yeah,
with my
and a rejection, even when you've gone through the whole thing and they still said no, it's I know people say this, it's such a thing to say, but it really isn't personal. It's not. Something's going on in their life. They don't have a need right now. But if you just keep letting them know that you're there, they see you on social media, you're on the emails. When they need something, they'll remember that you were consistent at calling them, that you were consistent like nobody else. You stand out because of that, because you have a system to make sure that you're calling every single week, at least for 12 weeks, and making sure that you're there for them. And so it isn't even a rejection, because a lot of times people don't look at it as a rejection. They don't even feel like they're rejecting you. They just have other things on their mind. And it's easy to remember that. Carl used to tell a story at the boot camp. I don't know if he still tells it now, because I don't go to that many of them, but the boot camp itself, he used to tell the story about somebody who had a bunch of tires, brand new tires that they were selling for really, really cheap. And they said, no, I don't need tires today. No matter how cheap they are, I just don't need tires. And so
Mhm.
sometimes they just don't need a new lender, and it's okay, but you'll be there when they're ready. And hopefully their lender will take good care of them. But if they don't, you'll be ready to take great care of them. That's how it works.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that I'm at a point where I can kind of feel the agent too, where it's like, okay, this person isn't really somebody that I want to work with. Just
Exactly.
because of past experiences with the energy or the way a conversation is going, I can kind of
Mhm.
see like a little pattern on, down the line, is this agent going to be likely to send me, any business? And it's like, okay, so I can kind of make a decision to almost, I guess, I reject agents now on the cold calling. And it's like, sometimes like, hey, you know what, have a nice day, because it's like, I'm going
Uh-huh.
to take it right now. So it's like, but I can only, we can only get to that when, we're constantly at it and, just
Yes.
constantly with, the numbers really, it really adds up and it's very important.
It really is. So what if you could go back knowing what you know now when you started, is there anything that you would do differently? Or would you just say, you know what, I learned my lessons and I'm good with it?
100% learn my lessons and I'm good with it. I think it's romantic to say, you know, if I had the ability to make life easier for myself, would I do it? And to me, it's like, even though part of me is like, you should, but logically, if I really think about it, it's, definitely not. I would not go back and change anything. This is kind
Hmm.
of makes me who I am today. And if I made my life easy, I wouldn't be who I am, right?
Yes.
If I made the cold calling easy, I wouldn't have that same drive to find rebuttals. Maybe I don't know, but I
Yes.
definitely believe that hardship, the hottest fire makes the strongest steel. I really believe in that.
I agree 100%. So my final question is, what words of encouragement do you have for loan officers or business development reps, people that are salespeople, whether it's the mortgage business, no matter what sales they're in, and other business owners for the current times that we're in?
Stay true to your goals. Have a goal, of course. Stay true to your goals. Sean Aker, he's a very influential person to me. Sean Aker is like the leader of one
The
of the leaders of
happiness.
positive psychology, and
Yes.
this idea that if you can develop good and bad habits if you just constantly do what you constantly do. And it takes something like maybe 3 weeks or so to constantly
Hmm.
do it. And I think if you stay true to your goals, double down on things that are working. Having great tutelage and guidance from WoW training, like with Irene, or even with the Freedom Club with Carl, just knowing the right people to connect with to give you expert advice on what you should be doubling down on, and just keep after it, and success will happen. But of course, that's just in general. And me specifically, and me personally, I feel like, don't get too bogged down on that tangible success, because again, to me, I just feel like once you're focused on that specific goal as the end goal, and it kind of just ends in a way, right? Like the momentum
Yes.
stops. So I guess it was a few pieces of advice, I guess, for business owners. Just have a goal, stay focused on it, connect with incredible people that can guide you along the way, and double down on your strengths.
That's awesome. And there's no better way to end today's conversation than with that great words of encouragement. So thank you, Hamilton. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you, how proud I am of you and Jing. You guys have created an amazing business and you're just starting, like I said, and all of those milestones are going to keep happening. I hope you will keep going. I know you will keep going with your enthusiasm and you guys are going to make it. You're going to be an amazing success story. You're already an amazing success story. It's just going to get better and better as time goes on. So your secret sauce is working. So keep it up. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Irene, for all that you do for us.
Uh,
Again, I'm gonna keep driving this home again. Especially for my loan officers out there that are listening to this. If you're struggling, it's a science now. It's like, there's a process of doing things that will make your life easier. And Irene is the light. So again, like Irene changed us, our team, the way we do things. And it's just, I have nothing but amazing things to say about Irene and while training and the Freedom Club. And, so if you're hesitant on doing it, do it. It's gonna change your life.
thank you so much, Hamilton. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. And if you got value out of it, can you do me a favor and leave us a good review on this podcast? and share it with other loan officers that you know and other business owners. That would really be appreciated. So enjoy your day, everybody. I hope it's the best.